Hello, Margot here, and I am back with another student midwife interview. So I'm really excited today. I'm going to be interviewing Ania, who is a student with the Indie Birth Midwifery School, and I'm just going to blab for a couple minutes about what the Indie Birth Midwifery School is. So, just getting rid of some notifications here. The Indie Birth Midwifery School was created a couple years ago by Marin and myself, and then this really amazing team and network of teachers who have helped create the content that makes up the basis of this program. And it is really something unlike anything else that is currently available. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made it. So we always like to joke that, we had talked about creating a school for a while and thought like maybe we'll do that in 10 years. And it just sort of suddenly came together and happened within the span of about 6 months of preparatory work. And we made content along the way with the first cohort who enrolled with us. And, it was just divine timing and was really, it was just really an amazing experience to create this body of work that is not available anywhere else in the way that it is currently available through the Indie Birth Midwifery School. So, I guess I would just invite you all to ask questions if you have them. I'm going to bring Ania up momentarily to share a little bit about her experience as a student midwife and what that's like, because we get questions all the time about becoming a midwife, how to do it, what paths there are, what it's like, all those kinds of questions. So questions are welcome. And maybe instead of just scrolling past this, if you are at all interested in midwifery, I would invite you to invest a few minutes of time to learn and listen. And also wanted to point you towards our social platform if that's something that you are not on yet. It's social.indiebirth.org, or you can use the Mighty Network app to hop on and just look up Indie Birth Association. We have a community of, I think, over 2,000 people at this point who are amazing women and birth workers all around the world who are learning together and studying and asking questions and connecting and supporting and all the things that are actually really hard to do here on Instagram. We're definitely not really doing that over on Facebook anymore at all. All of those groups are closed because it's just like such a cluster F there. And we are experimenting, though, I guess I was going to say, on Clubhouse. If that's something that you are on, you should find us there, Marin Green and myself, Margot Blackstone. We are going to be doing some fun chats over there as well. So without further ado, I'm going to, find our lovely guest. Why can't I find? Okay, there you go. To hop on. Like I said, if you have questions, please ask them. Otherwise, I'll ask the ones that I think are fun. Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. You looked a little fuzzy, but I hope it clears up. We could see you really clearly and then not so much, and then now, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to introduce?
I hope it works. Yes, my name is Ania Cordero. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I am part of the Indie Birth Midwifery School program right now.
Mostly just wanted to have a conversation, and like I said, if people have questions, I think that's always fun. But I guess maybe just start with
it's been quite the journey. I think it's been amazing, mostly. So refreshing to meet new people and get so much knowledge. It's exhausting at times. I need some help with time management. But so far, it's been nothing but positive experiences. I have been able to learn so much about myself and about the birth work that people do in different parts of the world. And at the same time, I have been able to learn about myself as a human being and how I can serve in different ways. So it's been very eye-opening, I would say. Can you repeat the question? The question, I lost it. Yes, in my apprenticeship. When I say it again.
I hope our
Can you guys hear me and see me?
Yeah.
Okay. Say it again. I apologize. I
That's okay.
couldn't hear you.
It's okay. Just, if you wanted to share what that's looked like for you, getting hands-on experience apprenticeship alongside school, and maybe what would you recommend to other students if they had that same question?
Yes. When I started the program, I had no experience besides my own births, so I was very worried about how I could get hands-on experience with birth besides the theoretical knowledge, the book knowledge that I was acquiring. And it was something that was very worrisome for me because I didn't have any connections. I had just moved to this new city and started the program right away, so I didn't have a lot of people that I knew. And again, I was brand new to the world. So what I did was start following people on Instagram, doing research about the area. I asked a friend's mom that is now a retired midwife how she did it. She gave me a couple of recommendations, but ultimately I just drove one day. I was alone without the kids and the husband. And I'm like, oh, I'm just driving around. Let me just stop by this birth center that I'm really interested in contacting. Let me just stop by and ask questions about what they do and if they have any programs for students. And they were that day hiring new people. And I just showed up and said, hey, are you guys interested in having people learn? They're like, yes, you're hired. So that was just how it went for me. I just stepped out of my comfort zone, which is very wide. I am, believe it or not, shyish in a way that it's hard for me to get to people sometimes. So I just stepped out of it, asked questions, and this time the answer was yes. And I'm very grateful. What I did was they gave me the opportunity to either choose the day shift or the night shift. So I only took night shifts. So I could be with the kids. I have two little people, kids during the day and do housework and do homework. And then at night I would leave them asleep with my husband, and I didn't have to worry about childcare or anything, then go get my experience. I loved it. I loved everything about it, and I think it worked great for me at that point, but it wasn't sustainable in the long term because I wasn't sleeping much. But but I think it's important for people to know there is space for you at some point, somewhere. You just have to keep going and not be too afraid of trying, because you will get no's. I did get no's before that and after that. But that's the worst thing that can happen, that people say no and then you just keep trying. So it's more available than you think, even if you have no experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think your story is so refreshing. And I remember when you emailed me about it, I think it was by email. I was like, wow,
I think
that's
it was
like
March before
unheard
that.
of. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. And I think that's such a good point, is to just like keep pursuing it and not feel like, I think a lot of student midwives get in kind of a loop or like a cycle of like, oh, well, I can't find an apprenticeship. And I tried like once or twice and people said, no, or it's not time yet, or like, I don't have an opening yet. And they just get so
Yeah.
discouraged and then kind of get into like a loop about it instead of like, no, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I got a few no's. Like I contacted one person, never answered me. I called another person and she just flat out said no. And then I went to a place and they said maybe. And then I went to this one and they said yes. So it took me a few tries and a few heartbreaks
Yeah,
before I got it. So yeah, it's gonna sting sometimes in your ego, but you'll be okay. You'll survive and you will find a place where you can make it happen.
that's awesome. So you did that for like a couple months, or I can't remember
Hmm.
the, yeah.
Yeah, it was a few months. It was a few months before we both decided that I needed to stay alive.
Yeah. Get some sleep. Cool. How many births did you attend? Do you know?
I don't think I attended a lot of as many as I wanted to attend, but I was a birth assistant and I was in training as well. So I feel like I could have gotten a lot more knowledge had I stayed longer, and also had I been in a situation where I was supposed to learn, not just make it happen right away.
And not just
So
assist.
I think, so I think for people that are starting to work, doing an apprenticeship where you are also learning, not just doing, could work better. Yes,
Yeah.
for a lot of us.
Cool. I guess I hadn't thought about this part, but do you want to talk at all about like the skills workshop and how that was for you as a
Yeah.
student?
Yes. The skills workshop is part of the one of the classes that we take in the program is at the end of the first chunk, the
Mm-hmm.
first year. And it's very clinical. What we do is learn a lot of hands-on situations from possible difficulties or um, things that could potentially need some assistance from the midwife. So we had a lot of practice with um, palpation and um, IV placements and hemorrhage management, breech births, and I was able to um, travel to Minnesota, which was where it was happening this year, and meet a lot of people. Most of them were part of the school program already, were students, and we were able to gain so much knowledge. We did a lot of um, inner work, networking, exchange experiences and knowledge in situations where we have been, and also make it happen in a safe environment. We weren't killing anybody just yet, so it felt very safe to make mistakes. And after that, I felt a lot more um, secure, and I gained a lot of trust in myself. Like I can do this, I can make things happen. And of course, I need a lot more practice and a lot of book reading, but I know I can do it. It's possible.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. I loved it.
Cool. Yeah, and for people who are watching, we don't have dates set for the next skills workshop yet. But if you're interested in being on the wait list, you can go to indiebirth.org/workshop, I think is the link. Or you can find it in the menu bar at the top. And there's like a little pop-up that puts you on the wait list if you add your name and email address. And it also talks more about like kind of everything that we do in the 3 days. And it's usually pretty epic. And yeah, like you said, it's not that you leave feeling like you've mastered it all, but usually people leave with the sense of like I'm capable of this thing called midwifery, and it's so much fun. So I'm glad you were here to do that.
I was so excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I guess I have some other questions. If you could narrow it down, do you have like a favorite class or two you've taken so far?
Yes, and I think the problem is that every period has my favorite class. Like every chunk of class we take, it has the one I wanted to learn. But so far, I think one of my favorites have been history of midwifery, which is surprising because I usually don't like history, and I loved every single part of it. It was a little enraging, but it makes you understand where we're coming from and what we can make happen. I like the prenatal class, because also at the same time I realized that being at a birth is not the chunk of midwifery.
Yeah.
The heart of it, the biggest, one of the most important parts is the care that we can provide to the mom and the relationship we build. I think I loved anatomy and physiology, one of my favorite ones. Nutrition, the skills workshop as a class as well. And right now I am loving childbirth education because I think it was something I was craving to learn how to, all this knowledge, how to project it back and give it to the community. So I am loving it big time. So yeah, all of it is the answer.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Sometimes I want, like we all have imposter syndrome moments, right? Like every time people are starting new classes, I'm like, what if they hate them all? But that never has happened. People,
it's like, oh, no.
pretty unanimously loved our class. So. But it was always nice to hear. Cool. Well, what else would you want someone to know if they are considering, either doing our program at the Indie Birth Midwifery School or just considering becoming a midwife? What's your advice as someone who's in the thick of it?
Yeah, if there was people like wondering if they could or if it was the right time for them or if they really wanted or could, I think I understand that uncertainty can be a very lonely place and you don't have to stay there for too long alone. There is a space, as I was saying before, there is a space for you in this community, in this family, with whatever knowledge and whatever experience you have already. Even if it's none, even if you think, I've never had children, I've never read a midwifery book, I just feel cold, I just feel curious about it. There is a space for you with this, at least with this community. You don't have to stay there for too long. The first step is daunting, but I promise we cannot wait to have you here. Whatever you have is exactly what you need to have and exactly what we needed to get. So I think it's important for you to get out of that zone. Again, it's scary and lonely, but there are people here that cannot wait to meet you and cannot wait to welcome you and share that information that you think you don't have, but you do, and it's very valuable. So it's that first step is it's gonna feel I don't know, difficult, but you can make it, and well, we're gonna be here to catch you. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. It makes me think you should maybe be like part of our student liaison team when you have a spare moment someday.
Sure, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, and we do have, there's so many little like pockets of midwifery out in the world, but if people are drawn to the work we do here, we do have a couple really cool resources, one of which is the Student Midwife Primer I wanted to just mention for people. It's indiebirth.org/midwife primer, and it's free, and it's a PDF download, and that's like a really nice way to sort of get introduced to, this community that's so excited to meet people. We also just last month released a new mini course called The Beginner's Guide to Radical Midwifery, and it's a pay what you can offering, and you can get that at indiebirth.org/radical midwifery, and that's really fun.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's super fun. And you mentioned the midwifery herstory course, and that is a very meaty course. Like there's a lot of content there. Mm-hmm. We did take just like one or two little pieces from that course for the mini course on the Beginner's Guide to Radical Midwifery. So some of that same content is there, in addition to a bunch of things that Mara and I have written and created and recorded. So yes, if you're into what we're up to and you want to be a midwife, I like what you said. We're here to catch you when you're ready to make the leap.
we do get to catch people, so we help people out. We'll be ready.
That's right. And we have some other stuff too available, but the easiest thing really is to just be part of our social platform and just introduce yourself. Marin is kind of like welcoming everyone that joins the platform individually, even though it's tons of people. That's a new thing, and just saying hi. And so if you mention that you're interested in being a midwife, you'll get some more information that way too. And for people who are really serious and are just trying to figure out what their next steps are, we do offer free calls with our team to talk through some of your options around next steps towards becoming a midwife. So, any sort of last advice you want to give people or thoughts you want to share? Or if anyone has a question, type fast and ask it.
Yeah, I can answer any question. I think, again, there are very many ways to get involved. You don't have to necessarily become a midwife. You don't have to become a doula. You can become an advocate for human rights, for being a good companion, being a supporter. And there are many ways you can make that happen with our platform. As you said, you can join the Mighty Networks. You can take a couple free workshops if you feel like it. That's what I did at first. I had no idea, and my midwife just kind of introduced me to this world and sent me a couple links, and that's how I started. When I felt like I wasn't totally ready to dive in, there are a lot of resources and a lot of information that you can start with, and it's going to be probably exactly what you need at that point if you want to start slowly. So
yeah, cool. Well, just one last reminder that if people are in that place of feeling stuck or not sure what the next step is, we're always here to talk. So, yeah, you don't have to, I liked how you put that too. Like, you don't have to be stuck there, like, alone. Just reach out and we can talk. You can also DM us here, but we're best to get on our own social platform, social.indiebirth.org, or by email. And we also have so on our platform, because that's where we host all of our classes, courses, programs. We have pretty much all of our Indie Birth Midwifery School students, our Birth Warrior Project students are on that platform. So it's a really great place to ask questions, because there are many more wonderful women just like Ania over there who are doing this work day in and day out and are there to also support you in addition to me and Marin. So thank you so much for doing this with me today. And
thank you for having me.
I so appreciate it. And do you have what's your handle in case people want to like follow your work?
Yeah, I have a professional handle. I have my personal one, which is this one, Ania Cordero. But I have the one called Matrices, MATRICES.RD. And that's totally in Spanish because that's my niche. That's what I want to do. I want to serve the people of the Dominican Republic, which is a Spanish-speaking country. So, but if you still want to check it out, you can always translate the posts and see what's that about. That's me right there, and I'm getting ready to teach the labor blueprint class again here in a few weeks. I am very excited, and I'm also I'm moving back to my country on Monday.
Monday?
Yes, on Monday, just to be able to be closer to the people I want to serve and see how I can support and meet the needs of the people and answer questions and all that. So that's my plan so far, and that's my handle, matrices.rd. Here in Instagram, and I'm very excited to be with people and interact. So check me out.
Someone just put it in the chat, so thank you for doing that. And cool. Well, that is big news. I'll have to hear more about that soon.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. And everyone who's been watching or watches in the future, don't be a stranger, and reach out if you need any support. Thank you, Ania.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.